Welcome to another episode of the Tech Junkies. In this episode, we're talking more about alternative energy. For instance, in this case in particular, solar. We've taken this shed here, we've installed a few solar panels on the top, and used a charge controller with a battery and an inverter, and basically given ourselves free power out here. Earlier, we showed you how to make solar panels from scratch, soldering all the cells together, putting them against the glass and epoxying them in place. And while it is much cheaper to buy it and put them together this way, it's very, very time consuming. We did make 6 100-watt panels, and we had a flat surface like this out at my mom's farm. We just mounted them vertically on the wall, as you can see here in this picture, and they pretty much just sit there and do their job. It was very, very time consuming, as I said, and it ended up probably being realistically about 50 cents per watt. We found another website called pvdepot.com, and they claim to have some of the best pricing on pre-built professional solar panels. They're imported direct from China. You do have to order a minimum quantity, usually of 20 or 25 panels, but they are great pricing, and usually, even with shipping, comes out to less than $1 per watt. To save all of that time, we think this is going to be the way to go. So we've stopped making the rest of the solar panels. We're going to wait to see how much power they can generate, and then try the new solar panels, buy them and put them up and see how they go. What we've done in this episode is we've taken 2 flexible solar panels, and as you can see on the roof, we've mounted them along there, but since they're flexible, we had a little difficulty in figuring out how to install them. So we've come up with these aluminum brackets, and luckily here at the Tech Junkies we have a machine shop. We made a few of these, mounted up on the roof, slid them underneath the shingles, screwed them down, and we're going to test it over the next few months to see how it holds up to the weather and the wind, and hail shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see how clean they stay and how often we have to go up there as well. So we have our solar panels installed. Each solar panel is 128 watts, giving us a total potential of 256. In our tests so far, we've noticed that we only get about just over 200 watts total when the sun is directly overhead. And that's not bad. Typically, we'll expect to see between 25 and 50% of our total output power, and that's pretty good. Coming in from the roof, we've got our wires coming in from the solar panels into this junction box. That junction box we've brought over to this disconnect switch, and it's important to think about disconnecting, especially when things go wrong. Whether it be your solar panels got accidentally ripped off the roof by wind, you want a way to safely disconnect them. So that's what we've done here. We've brought the battery in on one side and the solar panels in on the other. Here is where we have our charge controller. This charge controller is capable of outputting 30 amps continuously and a 60 amp for a short period of time. Roughly equates to about 300 to 350 watts for our outlets here. And we have a 300 watt inverter, which matches pretty good. So it's not a fully loaded household circuit, but for what we're going to be doing in this shed, it's just perfectly adequate. We've installed 2 outlets and 2 light switches. The light switches just go to a couple CFL spiral bulbs, and we've chosen those because of the low wattage and relatively low startup power that it needs instantaneously. Some other fluorescent tube lights take a lot more starting power, and you'll find that some inverters don't like to start those up. So that's why we decided to go with the spiral bulbs. On our charge controller here, we can see that our battery is at a 12.3 voltage. We've got solar power coming in at about 0.8 amps, and it is getting dusk here. We're only using, well, we have the lights on, so we're using almost 3 amps. So right now we're actually using more than we're bringing in. So that's where we need the battery to have the backup power when the sun is not overhead. And as it pulls the power out of the battery, tomorrow morning when the sun comes back out again, it'll start producing more power than we're using, charging the battery back up. Monitoring the power earlier today, we noticed we could get up to about 7 amps from the solar panels. And they're 30 volts, meaning we could get just over 200 watts. The potential is about 256, so that's pretty good. We've angled each one on the roof so that the sun, as it goes over the sky, will be directly hitting one, and then it'll be directly hitting the other to try to capture more full potential off of each solar panel for part of the day. In this system, we've installed the solar panels in a fixed position. In other systems, you can use solar tracking where the solar panels will actually follow the sun. And while this does give you more power throughout the day, it really, in our opinion, doesn't give you as much as it would be if you just added more solar panels in a fixed position. That seems to be fewer things to go wrong, an easier installation, and overall we think it's going to be easier to maintain. From here, what we want to do next is either take an Arduino or some kind of way to monitor the power so we can see exactly how much power we're gathering. Since we know that we have 256 watts of potential, we want to know over the course of a year how much actual power can we get through the summer, through the winter, when it's raining, when it's sunny. What does that all average out to over a year? And from that data, we can then decide how much power we're going to need to run the whole house.